After 2 weeks of miserable downside and sideways price action, we are starting to finally get a signal here that maybe Bitcoin is attempting a reversal. This is the short-term price action, the 4-hour chart from our dump from 43.5 all the way to 32.9. Bitcoin has finally popped out above this 4-hour formation. We did come to an apex to the pattern completion zone. We are now breaking out of this pattern. And if we stay on the 4-hour chart and we just zoom out a little bit further, and we can actually see all the way back to the 69K peak, we are still well below our downward sloping trend line. This has been very instrumental in this downtrend. This has been a very vicious downtrend. I've only seen this a few times in my career in Bitcoin. And we are currently well below that trend line. So yes, we have a lot of work to do. We have, let's see, possibly about 7% or maybe, it depends on where we go, 7.5 to 8% up from here to actually reach that trend line. And then we actually have to end up breaking it, right? So there's work to do, of course, before we can actually say that we have a true reversal on our hands. And there's a few things on this 4-hour chart that I'm looking for right now. One, of course, is the downward sloping trend line. Two, this yellow 200 SMA moving average on the 4-hour chart also has been instrumental recently. It was the signal for the breakout back in October that started that uptrend. It was the signal for the breakdown here in November that started the downtrend. And then we also used it as resistance here during this downtrend. And right now, that yellow 200 SMA on the 4-hour does coincide with this major wick low on that initial December dump that we had. So all the things that I'm really looking for right now is a move up to this resistance, a break of the downward sloping resistance, and then a break of this major previous support from early December and the 200 SMA on the 4-hour chart. So if we can pop above about 42,350, an area where there's a lot of things converging together here, that's going to give me the signal that we have a medium-term bullish shift to the upside, right? If we get above that, I'm looking for a move actually up to about 52,000 or so, this previous resistance there, right? And if we go back to the daily chart now, that resistance that I just pointed out is also the resistance from over here in September, which made our head and shoulders pattern, right? So what I'm talking about down here, 42,350, is a medium-term bullish reversal signal. And then the macro bullish reversal signal is going to be coming in at about 52,100, 53,000, pretty much right alongside these two peaks right here. And of course, I'm talking about this now. We're very far away from this. So all of that is just hopium at this point. And to discuss some of the more bearish stuff that could take place is, even if we get this very short-term reversal, what could end up happening is that we would come up to that trend line, and if we reject it hard, come back to the lows and maybe double bottom before a true reversal. Also, if we come up to that trend line and reject, of course, if we break down, we're likely going to be headed for that $30,000 target, right? So if we come up and reject and we can't get above that trend line, right? Getting above that trend line is going to be extremely key. If we can't do it, eventually we're just going to be pushed down to that 30,000 level, right? And we'll probably end up bouncing there. And if we come down to 30,000 and bounce, at that point, the price will be so wedged in that we would probably crack this trend line, most likely. But of course, we'll see. We'll see if there's more liquidations at that point. It's kind of hard to know exactly where we would bottom out. The obvious price is 30,000, right? So that is the more bearish scenario possible. Double bottom before breakout, or if we can't get above the trend line, a push down to 30 before breaking the trend line, right? That is still possible. As long as we're below, this trend line here, all of that stuff is still possible. So we do have a 4-hour breakout looking pretty good. We'll see. Of course, if we do just end up failing all of this, maybe we'll come back to reach the lows. And if we fail the lows, then we're headed down to probably 30,000 at that point, right? But a lot of people are wondering right now, why is this happening? Why are we seeing, a possible reversal taking place today? Well, it's because the stock market has seen a significant bounce. Looking at this daily chart for the S&P 500, we had a tremendous dump came down towards that 4,200 level, and we've seen a lot of accumulation and now a major push to the upside for the S&P. Now, this chart right here is showing each trading day for the stock market, for the S&P compared to Bitcoin. And if you just zoom in closely, you can see that there's just perfect correlation going on every single trading day. Major dump together over there, go back to the next trading day, major dump alongside one another there. I mean, it's almost every single day we see these very, very strong correlations with the S&P and Bitcoin. And the reason why this is all happening is because when the stock market is very bearish, people become very uncertain about Bitcoin, right? So the degree of correlation increases to the stock market when people are uncertain, right? Because then they look to the stock market for guidance, right? That's how this works. That's why all these trading days, if you're looking closely, are almost just following one another perfectly. It's just every single move is like the same exact thing. It's absolutely mind-blowing when you really look. Like, you can't even tell the difference between the two charts in most of these ranges, right? And basically, when people are uncertain about stocks, Bitcoin is bearish, right? When the stock market is bearish, generally, Bitcoin is also bearish. And when the stock market is bearish, Bitcoin correlates more with the stock market. When the stock market is bullish, Bitcoin correlates less and does its own thing, right? That's how this works. And right now, clearly, guys, we have a lot of uncertainty. But we do have a nice bounce happening today. Bitcoin perfectly snapped into place with the S&P. And today we got a little bit of a breakout here. Of course, again, a lot of work to do with Bitcoin. A lot of stuff has to happen for this reversal to really take place. We are still well below water here, guys. We are below water, right? But I haven't made a video in a while because there really wasn't all too much for me to discuss. We kind of just came down here and then just traded sideways for a very long time without any confirmations. But today I thought, you know what? We're getting at least a little bit of something. So I'd come on and talk to you guys about those medium-term 4-hour indicators. And then, of course, that more macro picture indicator where, 53,000. If we ended up getting above that later on, that'd be, macro bullish, right? Very bullish for the macro scale. Of course, it is possible that if this was going to be some kind of continued bear market in the longer term, we would actually come up to this level and then reject down again, right? And we would have like some kind of descending triangle, right? A sustained decrease in price. Again, even in a bear market, guys, Bitcoin can go up 60% and it's still a bear market, right? So if we end up bouncing up, we don't know yet. We don't know yet what this is until we come up to these levels, test them, and break them. Then it's a bull market again above basically 53,000. But if we reject it, it is a sustained decrease in price. That is, by definition, a bear market. So again, is it a bull market? Is it a bear market? I don't know. I can't tell you yet. There's not enough detail here. We haven't even gotten a reversal to take place. So I really don't know. We have to get more data. We have to get more confirmations. We have to see things really play out. And recently, things have just been very boring, right? But of course, I've been accumulating down here looking for a possible recovery. We'll see if we get it. We're looking at the Coinbase weekly chart. Let's hop over to the weekly. You guys know that I talked about that weekly volume indicator. We did not get that major, essentially, for all you guys that may not know what I'm talking about. A lot of my viewers do know what I'm talking about. These tops and these bottoms get these huge volume spikes, right? And they're really good, really easy indicators to use. And we didn't get that type of volume here. So, again, it's not required. It doesn't have to happen. It's just really nice and easy when it does. It's like an easy signal to call a bottom. It doesn't have to happen. It would be a stronger bottom if it did happen. It doesn't have to happen, and it didn't happen, though it was at least, the volume, guys, on that last weekly was at least, above average. I think we had maybe like a couple dozen weeklies since 2017 that were higher than the last weekly candle. So it was good. It was above average, right? but not a perfect bottom signal by any means. So it's the waters are still a little bit murky right now, and we just got to see how this plays out. But that's it for me today, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Smash the like button, subscribe to this channel if you're new, join the Patreon if you want to support this channel, and I'll see you all in the next video.